Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. So, we had some action last night in the NBA. I don't appreciate people just watching box scores and not actually watching games. What I mean when I say that is, it's difficult to watch games. Don't get me wrong, it is difficult to watch games, but it's even more difficult to analyze the game from a box score perspective, because if you're just looking at the numbers, you're leaving out a very important factor when you do that. You're leaving out how these numbers came about. You're leaving out when these numbers came about and how it implemented the team if you're just watching a box score as opposed to watching the game and understanding how these things ended up being what they were. So, for example, with the Clippers last night going up against Oklahoma City, I think they did a really good job. I think they're doing a really good job at bringing Kawhi Leonard along as slowly as they have. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of guys not playing and load management. I'm not a fan of that. But we have to accept the fact that, one, this is the way the game is played today, and two, Leonard, his body has been breaking down for the last 4 or 5 years or so. So they got to manage him differently than they do other guys. So with the degenerative knee that he has, they can't throw him out there every night and play him 35, 40 minutes because he's not going to hold up. I'm not sure he's going to hold up for the next 2 or 3 seasons, to be quite honest with you. But the way that they're managing him now, he was on a gradual ascent, and it's working. I mean, I think the last 11 games, he's 29, I think 7-4. And with the addition of Russ, right? With the addition of Russ, that takes even more pressure off him to be a primary ball handler. Because I think he's better off the basketball than he is on the basketball. So when you get guys like Kawhi Leonard with the slow ascension, with gradually bringing him along, I think that helps that unit. And don't get me wrong, losing Paul George was a big deal, but the way that Ty Lue coaches and the way that not just implements his system, the way he uses his guys and uses all of them. I mean, he played 11 guys last night against Oklahoma City. Played 11 guys last night. I think that these guys can I think they could keep this team afloat until you could get Paul George back. And the idea of Kawhi Leonard no longer being the primary ball handler because Russ is there, that helps him out so much. Because I think he's so much better off the basketball than he is on the basketball. And with Russ bringing up the ball, and not just bringing up the ball, Russ creating offense for other people, and then when we get into the meat and potatoes of the game where we're late in the third quarter, where now you can give Kawhi Leonard the ball and let him operate, or we get into the fourth quarter and you can play off of him a little bit more. Number one, that preserves him with having Russ on the basketball, and number two, it opens up the offense a little bit more for other guys, because now once he gets going, he makes life better for a lot of other people. And what you do is you slow down Russ's ability to turn the basketball over, because now you're taking him off the ball. So I thought that was a good job for what they did last night against Oklahoma City. They didn't get anything from Lou Dort. If you're the starting 2 guard on a playoff team and you're going up against another playoff team that's in contention, you got to be better than what he was last night. Now, I know that a lot of teams scheme for a lot of different guys. I thought they did a really good job at making Lou Dort make shots. What I mean when I say that is put him in space where he's not very effective. So at the long ball line, they were basically daring him to shoot that. And then when he gets into the mid range, they were putting a lot of pressure on him to make those shots. And he didn't deliver. I mean, Lou Dort is averaging less than 9 points a game against the Clippers for this season. That's not good when you're trying to make the playoffs. That's not good when you're trying to make the playoffs. And your starting two guard has to be better. And Lou Dort has to be better offensively. He has to be better. We all know that defensively, Lou Dort is one of the best defensive guards in the game. He puts a lot of pressure on your defense. He puts a lot of pressure on your guys offensively. He's smart. He's a really good on-ball defender. Just 2 nights ago when they played the Clippers and they ended up beating them. I mean, he was the one who came up with the big stop against Kawhi Leonard. He does a really good job of keeping guys in front of him, keeping his hands busy, and making you make tough shots. He's really good at that. But he's got to be better offensively in order for them to have a chance. And he hasn't been. Particularly against the Clippers. Like I said, he's averaging less than 9 points against them this season. And if you're going to make a playoff push and you're going to go up against a team like the Clippers, I have to be better offensively. I thought Oklahoma City coach, he did a good job in his rotation. Because I never understood the logic of shortening your rotation, because we need everybody, and each one of these guys that's on the crew brings something in particular. So Jalen Williams brings something. Shea brings something. Diddy brings something. All of these guys bring something different, right, to the unit. So because they bring something different to the unit, it's up to the coach now. It's up to the coach now to implement that in what we're doing. And the difference last night in that game, even though he brought in the unit that he brought in, the difference in that game last night between them and Oklahoma City was the bench. Because Ty Lue basically matched wits with him. Ty Lue played 11 guys. Not only did he play 11 guys, he got 51 points from his bench last night. That's the difference in the game, as opposed to 30 points from Oklahoma City's bench. I thought Mason Plumlee was really good on the backboard. He was able to get them second chance points, and not just get them second chance points, to get the ball out the basket or to get the ball off the glass and get them going quickly. Getting Bones Highland back in the lineup. I wasn't sure why he wasn't playing. I think that Ty Lue was still trying to figure out what his rotations were, because Bones hasn't played in, I think, the last 7 games. They were all DNPs. And I think that Ty Lue was still trying to figure out, with getting Russ and with getting Bones Highland, I think he was still trying to figure out what his lineups were going to be. And when you're shuffling guys in and out and you're trying to put together productive lineups, some guys are going to fall by the wayside and some guys aren't going to play. That doesn't mean that they're not good enough. They just aren't going to play. And I think Coach Lue, he was trying to figure out what his lineups were. I think he's starting to figure that out now. And getting Bones back in the lineup, I think Bones was a huge help for them last night. Same logic with Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann gave them some really good minutes. I mean, getting 51 points from your bench. If I'm going to get 51 points from my bench, more than likely we're going to win. This Oklahoma City team, they've got an uphill battle because they got to see the Lakers tonight. And losing last night drops them, I believe, to 11th in the standings. And they're going to have their hands full tonight with that Laker team. I think the difference in that game is going to be Anthony Davis, because they don't have anybody in the middle to handle him. Even though the Oklahoma City Thunder have been really good as of late against the Lakers, I think Anthony Davis is going to be the difference in that, simply because they don't really have anybody to slow him down on the backboard in particular, right? I think to get him in pick and roll and pick and dive, and for him to keep his game where he is the most effective, which is in the mid-range, and not just in the mid-range, in transition. Because Anthony Davis is a really good transition player. But in the half court, to keep his game in the mid-range and on the block, I think that he will give the Lakers a really good opportunity in order for them to win. So the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're up against this Laker team tonight, and this could really put a strain on them if the Lakers were to beat them. And since we're on the subject of the Lakers, I think this stretch here is going to be their season. So they got Oklahoma City tonight, and then I think they got the Bulls on Sunday. They got a 5-game road trip coming. That, I believe, is going to be their season. And we're going to find out whether or not only are they going to make the playoffs, but where they're going to be. We're going to find that out. And it's going to be really interesting to see how they hold up. I watch this Laker team and I watch how they implement Anthony Davis and how they put him in spaces where he can be effective. And he is for the most part. He's just not as effective as a lot of people would like him to be. Like, they see him in the dominant space, and he should be more effective than he is. I mean, he is 26-12 and 3 blocks over the last 10 or 11 games. And he's been productive. But Anthony Davis is being held to the great Laker centers, Shaq, Chamberlain, Jabbar, because those are the shoes that he's filling. So that's what they expect from him. And I think this road trip of 5 games is going to be their season. It's going to be their season. So I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to the rest of this. Since we're on the subject of their season, the Brooklyn Nets have now fallen into now the play-in tournament. And when I watch the Brooklyn Nets, I watch a team with a bunch of guys who can keep it close, which is great. Right? I think that's fantastic. You got a bunch of guys who can keep it close. The problem is, who is that guy that can bring us home? That's who Dirk Nowitzki was in Dallas. Right? That's who Dirk Nowitzki was in Dallas. That's who Kobe Bryant was with the Lakers. That's who LeBron James was. That's who all the greats were. I'm the guy who'll close it out. Just keep it close, and I'm the guy who can end it. That's what I see with the Brooklyn Nets. They don't have that one guy who can end it. They'll be in close games because they got a bunch of guys, Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges. They got guys who will keep it close. But that one guy who can push them over the top at the end of the game, they don't have that guy, and that's where they struggle. They had a difficult time dealing with Donovan Mitchell last night, who, I mean, I said this before the season started. When they traded for him, I thought that they were solidified as a top 5 seed in the East because now they have that dynamic wing scorer that they didn't have. And Evan Mobley is now playing better because he's recognized that I can't let the fact that Donovan Mitchell is here make him do all the work. Like, I can't let that hamper my game because they need me too. So defensively, he's been a gem, right? There's a reason why they're the number 1 defensive team in the league, and I think that's largely due to him, his versatility, not just his versatility, his ability to rebound, his ability to rim protect with Jared Allen. So I think that has a lot to do with why they're the number 1 defense in the league. But them getting into the top 5, adding Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley now becoming better, being more of an offensive player and implementing himself more in the offense, I think that was the difference in Cleveland now really being in contention and making some noise in the Eastern Conference. I think they're a semifinals team. I think they're a semifinals team at best. I like that matchup between them and the Knicks in the first round. I think their front court will be the difference. I think their front court would be the difference with beating the Knicks. Because I watched the Knicks last night against Orlando, and Mitchell Robinson. I'm sorry if I keep calling him Mitchell. Mitchell Robinson, the difference with him, he gives them what you need as a 5-man. He gets on the backboard. He gets in the paint and mans the paint as a defender. The difference with him is they don't get much from him offensively. And you don't need a lot from him, but you need him to be a threat. He has to be able to score, whether it's pick and dive, whether it's rim running. You have to be able to do that stuff in order for us to be effective. I think he's the difference offensively in them really challenging in the Eastern Conference. That's why I still stand on the logic. I think that kid in Charlotte, Mark Williams, I think he's better than than Robertson is today, and I think the Knicks made a mistake passing on him. So it's going to be interesting to see, guys. This is really good stuff, man. The playoff picture, I believe the play-in tournament is April 11th. That's in like 2 weeks. Yeah, it's in like 2 weeks. So I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. So you guys will see me here. You guys know where to find me at. This is what it is. But until then, take it light. We take it.